So, this is an update on how my night at the club went. Don't pay much mind to my lack of clothing. I'm about to go to bed, so I don't wear too much when I go to bed anyways. My night at the club went like so. I went, and like I said, my friends are sometimes there, sometimes not. Well, this time they were. They being, I'm going to use pseudonyms or nicknames or aliases. Edema. I'm giving them all female names. Why? Because I'm sure they deserve it on some level. Edema is my friend for many years. And Edema is up in the clubs, drinking just a little bit, like a beer, or probably was on his second or third. And Edema is hanging out with his friend Trisha, who Trisha is the current boyfriend of his first ex, Laura. And Laura lives with Trisha, and Trisha and Laura live with Edema. So Edema lives with his first ex and his first ex-boyfriend. Don't judge them. I wouldn't say it's the best arrangement, but I know what they've gone through, and they've made a good deal of progress to be where they are, so they can actually make that work. Those two in particular, it took a long struggle of years. So don't judge them too quickly. Edema's up and Nate's drinking. Trisha's up and Nate's drunk, and just running their mouths and talking at me, and all I'm wanting is to find a song or two that I'd like. I'm listening to something at the moment, but don't mind it. At any rate, as the night progresses, they get both more drunk, which, boy, have I had it with drunks. I've so had it with drunks. And, of course, knowing Miss Edema, my friend, fool would probably have driven home under those circumstances, which means, of course, I had to drive him home, and he's gotten used to walking back to his car wherever he parked the next day, so that's fine. He confesses to me why he's so drunk, because he usually tries to, well, you know, an alcoholic, which I would call him, will make efforts to control it, but, you know, they need a lot of help. So, you know, he's made efforts to control his alcoholism many times, but when he slips, it's because of something. So he tells me why he's getting drunk, and it's because his good friend Serena, who's a very attractive young man, and is just a hoochie flooch. That boy, he's a hooch, and that's just that. A good, attractive hooch. Well, he's letting his friend Serena stay with him because his friend doesn't have quite a place to stay at the moment, so he's being a good friend, letting him a place to stay. And he happens to be letting his second ex, Anita, stay with him as well. I think you already see what's happened. Forget Laura and Trisha. Those two are in a different room, and him and Laura, Edema and Laura, are fine. It's Anita who he still has, you know, a hard, soft spot for. And apparently Anita has not been, like, responding well to his advances. But Anita seems to be responding just fine to Serena's advances, which is what Edema came to discover today. And that was incredibly painful for him for many reasons. One, the feeling of multiple rejections from Anita, and then two, the having to witness somebody like your ex or someone you care for just, you know, in lip lock with someone else. And what's funny is I've never been in a relationship. After 30 years, I know it's a dreadful thing. But I know exactly how he feels. I've only experienced the shit end of everything relationships have to offer without any of the good stuff. So I knew exactly what he was going through, and he was very unhappy and drinking his sorrow away, which self-medication is what alcohol is for unhappiness. And so he wanted a hug and attention at the club, so I gave it to him and gossiped with him and was like giving him a piece of my mind, and how could they do this, and I'm going to chew them out when I get home, which I had decided to do on his behalf, and he seemed rather pleased with the prospect of me chewing out Anita and Serena when I brought him home. So the whole car ride home, I'm thinking of everything I'm going to say to these two, how disrespectful and shameful and shameless they are, and how I had only a mild impression of Anita ahead of time, but now my impression is just not good. And it's just all this stuff. I'm giving peace of my mind. I mean, you just be in your ex's room of all things when he's giving you a place to stay. Well, I get there. Them two are so drunk that Trisha happens to puke in the back of my car, which I was not pleased with. I just wasn't. I don't like that. And so, upon discovering that, I put on the whole mad routine so that when Anita answered the door, the ex of Adema, she was very nice and cordial, which I knew Anita back when they were going out, and he's a really nice guy, and he's attractive, and he's good, but, you know, he was cordial and nice and offered help and asked what happened and la 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 and was being polite, and I used the excuse of wanting to come in and wash my hands because I wanted to give Anita and Serena a piece of my mind. Apparently Serena was in the bedroom, and this is why I really can't stand about drunks. A drunk will pass out in public. A drunk will pass out in your car. A drunk will pass out all over your friends and family and wherever else. You get they drunk ass home, they don't go to sleep. They be up till sunrise. Piss me off. Them two drunks was up in there when I wanted to give Anita a piece of my mind. It just didn't quite seem like the right place to do it. So Anita kindly asked if I needed help cleaning my car, which I didn't. So I said, sure. When she finally made it out there, I was like, you know why Adema is mad. Caught you and Serena up in his room, and it messed him up. And Anita's like, yeah, I know, but... And I'm just waiting for this explanation. And I look at him like, but? And he's like, there are no buts. I was like, that's right, there aren't. This is just a great and disrespectful thing to do in your ex's room when he's giving you a place to stay. And he's like, I know. So that's when I softened up, and I was like, I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but that's why he's upset, and what with you being his ex, it's meaningful to him still. So I just wanted to make that story known. I cleaned up the puke from Trisha, who was also unhappy because she's in a current relationship with Laura, and people in relationships are only happy when it's going well and miserable when it's not. So at the moment he wasn't happy. Things that I don't know and cannot give any input on because I just don't know them well enough. And then I come home and find, of course, my good roommate as drunk as all hell, and I'm just so done with drunks. I didn't start drinking until I was 24, which is very late by most standards when you go to college and high school, pretty much. And I learned to party and have fun and do all kinds of stuff without alcohol, and I didn't care for it, and finally decided to start drinking just because I wanted to enjoy it for a change. And I do, but thank heavens I don't use it as a form of medication. Can't blame or judge people who do, because I use food in that way, and I use attention from guys I like in that way. So I know what it's like to want to make yourself feel good with a bad habit. It just doesn't happen to be alcohol, which I'm proud of, but boy am I done with people who do use it that way. It's really tough. And I'm always the friend that's the designated driver. I'm always the friend that has to clean out the puke the next day. I'm always the friend that has to remind you that you were an asshole the night before, saying terrible things. And I'm always the friend that has to put up with it. So I just wanted to give that input. I had something serious to say this time. Alright, that was my night at the club. The music was okay. Of course, there were guys I like. There's a boy with glasses and spiky hair, and I'm just digressing, and this is getting long, but I've been staring at him for years. And of course, he doesn't know I exist. He knows I exist. He just doesn't give a shit. Oh well, such is the way of things. He's one of millions of men that I've been attracted to who don't feel the same way. Most of them become my friends. So, I can't say I can definitely blame Adema for having two of his fucking exes living up with him right now. I mean, I was going to chew them out worse until I found out that he let them two stay there, and then I was like, well, what the hell did you think was going to happen, really? So I couldn't chew him out too bad, but I could chew him out enough because still it's disrespectful. Go find a car or a park or something. You know, do it in your ex's place who's giving you a place to stay. But, you know, ex was a fool for letting him and his friends stay there and not expecting anything. So, whatever, I'm done. and good night. Lord help me, I make it to that class, which I got to wake up for in about 3.5 hours on time. Lord help me. Bye.